Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Welcome to Monday Nights with Jess with the Weekend Geek, where we talk all entertainment news of the day. We had a good chat last week and caught up. Danny, come here for a second. Trying to get my tech support in here. While we wait for that. This is way too close to me. There's like 12 feet over my head. Put it, still needs to go down. Alright. Why can't, it's the laptop now. This is terrible. You know, you set this up for you, not for me. Apparently. Get this out of here. And it's so, why is it so dark? It's a little bit better. Okay. I feel better. Alright, so how this week? Alright, so I'm gonna do a quick catch up on new stuff that's going on this week. Theme for this week, our main theme in the chat this week is gonna be Stephen and all things King. All things King TV shows, movies, books, a little bit, and that stuff. So, out here, let me know. Let me know if you read the books, if you just like the movies. What kind of Stephen King fan are you? So, to get into that, I want to touch real quick on any other new stuff that popped up this week. And honestly, there wasn't really anything. I think that with our last week catch up after the Christmas break, we pretty much caught up with all of the new stuff that's going on. I caught one new show on, so wait, that's not true. So I did finish the 3rd season of Adventures of Sabrina, which I actually liked. Like, I keep expecting that show to like rub me the wrong way, or for me like not, okay, this is a little cheesy and over the top, but I like the 3rd season too, so kudos to the Sabrina people. Another Netflix show called The Stranger. It was like kind of British, but some people I liked it, Jennifer Saunders and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting. So if you're looking for something to watch, that's one worth catching. Other than that, on Netflix this week, too much new to mention. Last season of BoJack Horseman, if anybody's into that. Like the last episodes went up. There wasn't really anything to speak of. I haven't even really checked Disney Plus this week to see what was going on with them. So I guess this will our Stephen King chat, because what I did catch and start watching this week, which is so good, is the HBO show The Outsider. The Outsider is from a Stephen King book that I actually haven't read yet, which usually I like to check out the books before I watch any stuff from it. But The Outsider is a book that was kind of to the Mr. Mercedes series of books, which I haven't gotten a chance to like get into the whole series. The Outsider's on HBO. Won't go into too much detail about it, but you should 100% check it out. I was pretty Jason Bateman. I think he's really grown into such a great actor. He's great in everything. Arrested Development, you know, like I him as a kid, like the Hogan family and stuff like that. And it was like, oh, okay. And then really you didn't hear anything from Jason Bateman for a long time. Came back just doing this like crazy good stuff. Arrested Development and like the movies he's done, like Horrible Bosses and stuff like that, just really funny. He's great. When he popped up in the first episode, I was like, ooh, Jason Bateman, very cool. I like him in those darker kind of roles too. And so I won't give too much away about like his part in the series, but he actually is the director of all the episodes that I've seen so far. So I'm the entire series, and he does an excellent job. It's really cool. The only complaint I might have about it is sometimes it bounces around in time and it takes you a second to realize that they've like back in time, and then you'll be like, wait, is that happening now? And then you're like, oh no, it's like a flashback. But they do it kind of so seamlessly that you don't always care that they're like flashing back to something. They don't make it obvious. It just kind of seems like a continuation until you, so like you kind of have to really pay attention for. But the 5th episode was on this weekend of 10 episodes, so it's about halfway through the series, and you can catch up with that, and definitely check out The Outsider on HBO. Love it. So with that, I figured since there's not too much new going, time to get into like the world of Stephen King in general, which has been super busy lately because it seems like there's constantly a new series or movie or something coming out. Where like most of my life, there was always a pretty regular stream of Stephen King, and a movie once in a while. Now it's like, I don't know, Hollywood has realized that Stephen King is the ticket and remaking everything and all this stuff. So I'll get into some of the newer stuff first, touch on some of the old stuff too. So let's go with some of the Stephen King series that are going on now. So as we've talked about a couple times, there's the Castle Rock series on Hulu. Castle Rock is not from a specific Stephen King story. Every season is a little bit of a different anthology that they'll kind of loosely tie. It's kind of like an American Horror Story. So each season is standalone, little ties to other seasons, like, you know, previous seasons and things that happen. So it's really cool. First season was okay. Second season was really, really, and I'm psyched to see kind of like where they go with that. A couple of other recent Stephen King series that were what was the name of that one? Not Sleeping Beauty is the other one. Wait. I know I brought my phone so that I could make sure we covered everything that I wanted to cover. So there was a Mr. Mercedes. Mr. Mercedes is a kind of more recent Stephen King series. There was a series it was on a weird network that I didn't get. I have to try to remember what it was. So I've had a hard time keeping up with the Mr. Mercedes series because not on a network that's available to me, or that was when I had cable at the time. I have to see when a new season comes out, if they're doing, I don't know, I have to check. Wow, they're including the old stuff. Come on. Dreamscapes, blah 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 blah. Hello? How is it not listed on here? Okay, so real quick, I'll start on some of the more recent King series. Movies for this to come up. I'll talk real quick about this one, Doctor Sleep, which I read the book, of course, as the quote unquote Shining. It was a good book. It wasn't. It was a completely worthy follow-up of The Shining necessarily. Like, if you're going to tie something to The Shining, I think it needs to kind of be on that level. But it was a good story. There's so many Stephen King TV series that the print is super tiny. How is it still not listed here? It was. What was okay? It was the one with Zachary Quinto, and I can't believe that I plays Manx. I remember everybody's name in the show, and for some reason, can't actually think of the name of the show. Anyway, so back to thank you. Back to Doctor Sleep. So here's the thing. The movie was very popular, seemingly, among Stephen King fans, most of which don't read the books, so they watched the movie, figured that that was the way Stephen King wrote it, that made it a worthy follow-up. If you've seen the movie and read the book, you know that the way that the movie ends has literally nothing to do with the book at all. Like, the whole movie is just fantasticalized by Hollywood. It has nothing to do with what Stephen King wrote. I don't know. I didn't personally like it much. I thought it was, I don't know. I just feel like Stephen King has so much animosity toward the original Shining, which if you Shining, yes, there are a few differences from the book, but compared to the differences in the new It movie or the Doctor Sleep movie or any movies that have come out, the changes to the original Shining are minuscule and probably necessary to put such with. It's one of those stories that would not be 100% easy to translate, because the hotel itself in the book ends up being such a character, but there's really no way to translate that effectively without just making it too much. It wouldn't be a good horror movie. It just would be way too involved. Amazing job. Never really understood why Stephen King had such an issue with it. But after seeing Doctor Sleep, like, really, how do you stand behind that and still have such an issue with The Shining? It doesn't really make sense. The actors in it were, what's his face? Ewan McGregor. Now, okay, so, like, I don't, I'm not Cusack to be, like, to Stephen King what Johnny Depp is to Tim Burton. Like, he doesn't need to put him in everything. And he has done a few Stephen King movies of more recent nature. He did Room 1408, and I saw that one once. I have to check on that one. John Cusack is perfect for Stephen King movies because he just really embodies that sort of, I mean, you can tell, you know, a lot of Stephen King's main characters are like himself, like loosely, you know, not really, but it's hard to write from anybody else's perspective but your own, you know. So I feel like a little bit him. And I just feel like John Cusack always plays them really well, like his main characters. And I would really have liked in the Doctor Sleep movie. Ewan McGregor was good. Maybe it's that I have a hard time seeing him as anything but Obi-Wan, and he's very Obi-Wan to me. And I'm like, okay, you know, like, sometimes it's hard to like lose Ewan McGregor in another character Star Wars at this point. But as you know, Danny and I are immersed in a lot of Star Wars. So that might not be as much of an issue. Also, like the character of Rose the Hat in Doctor Sleep, I did not like the actress that they cast to play her at all. I really have loved to see Eva Green play that character, the one who did like Miss Peregrine's and Penny Dreadful and stuff like that. I think she would have been perfect, and that it really would have elevated that movie to a really good place. You know, maybe someday, since they like to make everything like 2 years after they've made it lately, so who knows? But yeah, wasn't as thrilled with the let's talk about the Pet Sematary remake while we're on the train of very terrible Stephen King. That Pet Sematary remake was completely unnecessary. The original Pet Sematary was so well done. It's really like one of the best adaptations of a book ever made, and with some really like questionable like moments, you know. So like to translate, I mean, everything about it was perfect. Fred Gwynn was so perfect that even John Lithgow could not step into that character and make you like, no, there'll never be another Judd. Fred Gwynn was too perfect. So as much as I love John Lithgow, even John Lithgow did not movie. And then they altered the movie so that like Gage doesn't die, the girl dies instead. It's just it's not good. So I was super unhappy with that Pet Sematary remake. Since we're in Remakeville, we'll touch quickly on the It remake, which was a blockbuster fiesta of garbage. So the original It, as most people know, was done as a TV miniseries originally. It was like 3 parts. What is going on? I'm telling her to come sit with me. Why do I look lonely? Do I look like I need a puppy friend? Puppy, wanna come sit with mom? Okay. You don't have to listen to him. Don't shut her in here. Open that door. Danny. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, if I could regain my train of thought after Danny and the dog interrupted me. It. Okay, so the original It, we all know it. We all really well done. Tim Curry was just, in true Tim Curry fashion, makes everything he does amazing. So it was going to be hard for me to see anything, but just, it's fine. She doesn't need to stay. So honestly, if they had a better Pennywise in those movies, it would have been a lot easier for me to take. I thought that the way that Pennywise, the outfit especially, was just way too comical. Like, it was just really, like, not scary. Like, the outfit is funny to me. The whole thing, like, you took everything about scary clowns that makes clowns scary and changed it into, like, things amusing. And, like, I don't know. It just did not do it for me. And a lot of people were on board after the first part came out. The part was 100% better. The half of the story that kind of centers around the kids. Pennywise is an epic fail. I'm sorry. It's just comic. Every time it talks, I laugh. Every time it does any, like, so it's hard for me to get into this horror movie when Pennywise does anything, I laugh. And also the special effects in that movie were just pretty horrendous. I mean, I have, you know, some experience doing not necessarily special effects, but special effects makeup and things like that. You know, we kind of always sort of watch out these for how the effects are done and different, you know, makeup and things like that. The effects in the It movie were just very, very niche, very, I don't know. Again, like, anytime something really scary was going on, like the scene, which is also in the original It movie, of went back to the house where she grew up, and the old lady is there, who, you know, isn't really the old lady. That scene was, that is the perfect scene if you watch the second chapter of that It movie to see exactly what I'm talking about with the special effects and how sort of ridiculous they come. Like, that scene should be really scary. And in the original movie, like, and this is like a TV miniseries it's being compared to, which is ridiculous. But it was much scarier in the original version. And they made it try to be visually scarier for the remake. It just comes across funny, like everything else in that movie to me. Am I like... I don't even think the chat is open in here. Oh, there's people. Hi, everybody. Hi, Robin. Hi, Phantasmic. Tony. Miguel. See, Danny didn't have my chat up, so I wasn't paying attention. But hey, everybody. Yeah, so not a fan. The bonus of that for me was that Bill Hader was in it, and I really like Bill Hader. I think he's a great actor, great comedian, really everything that he does. Even he could not quite rescue, but I liked, you know, I thought he did a good job. Beyond that, was not for me. So yeah, back to the couple of King series that I didn't get to before I started older movies and stuff like that. Oh, the one I couldn't think of the name for, Nosferatu series. That was actually on AMC. It's like NOS4A2, but it's pronounced Nosferatu. So NOS4A2. So series, I don't think that there's any follow-up to it because I think that they pretty well covered that. But where did my phone go? Oh, somebody ate my phone. It's gone. Terrible. Nosferatu series was really good. I had some reservations before I saw it when I heard Zachary Quinto was going to play the character of Charlie Manx, which, although in the book he goes through some like aging up and ages in general presented as like an older, like, you know, an old man. So I kind of thought like, oh, Zach, not really the one that I can kind of see playing this character. It's going to be like, the makeup is going to be over the top and like really hard to deal with. And why didn't they just get somebody, you know, more relative to the age of the character? I guess it's easier to age a character up than down always. It made sense. But, you know, there's very few parts that I could remember in the book where he was really young to have to, like, worry about. But also did a great job on it. The girl who played Vic Morrow was really good. I honestly seeing her in, and I don't know her name, and I would look it up if I had a phone. Oh, there it is. Who else did I know that was in that movie? One person that was in the Nosferatu series is actually a YouTuber. I'm not sure if you guys know who. It's a YouTuber called, she kind of goes under the name Sailor J. She had a couple videos go like crazy viral where she was being like super dramatic. Contouring is for women who murder their husbands and stuff like that. It was really cute, and it went around for a while. She's really funny, and I like her a lot as a YouTuber. She ended up being cast. I've seen her in. She's also in a Hulu original horror movie called Purity, something along those lines, and she was also pretty decent in that. So the couple of things that I've seen this girl, her real name is, I know she's Sailor J on YouTube if anybody wants to look her stuff up. Let me hit so I can remember what her actual name is. Oh, Jakara Smith is her real name that she uses when she's so yeah, girl came out of YouTube and got offered jobs, which is amazing. And she's really good in Nosferatu. She was good in the other I caught her in. So I keep an eye out, you know, if I see her and stuff. I think that that's great. And she did great in the movie. She played a really character in Nosferatu too. She did a really good job. And Ashley Cummings was the girl who played the main character. Generally, like, not a huge cast in that one. A lot of little double kids and stuff like that. But I wonder if any sort of. See, they have it listed as TV series 2019 dash, you know, like there could be a follow-up. I haven't heard anything about a follow-up season. I know that the first season pretty much covered all of the books, so I don't know if it was intended as own season or if they'll take it and sort of run with a further story that continues on from the book. I don't know. It'll be interesting. What else? Let's see what new movies are coming out. In production. Let's see. Yeah, so there is a remake to The Stand that is in production. The Stand, again, The Stand is one of Stephen King's most famous stories. It's the one that fans still talk about, even though it was done like in the 80s, maybe late 70s. I don't know. No, I think early 80s, probably The Stand. I know the original TV movies, so that like It style was done as a TV miniseries. Molly Ringwald was in it and stuff like so. It's like going. They're remaking it. It seems like they're giving it good remake treatment. I know that Stephen King knows how seriously his fans take that book. I personally never was as into The Stand as are, just because I got into Stephen King pretty young. I think the first book I read was Salem's Lot, and I was probably 8 or 9, young. My friend's older brother had a collection of Stephen King books, so we were pretty big readers, and we just kind of, once we got bored with the babysitters, went straight into Stephen King. That was just sort of how it happened. And once we started with Stephen King, I never really stopped. I just kind of kept on with it. The Stand, though, was like, it's one of Stephen King's like super long books. So as 11-year-old, I probably wasn't really looking at tackling The Stand yet. I was more into the shorter, like Carrie, Cujo kind of books. And I didn't quite, like, I caught the It TV miniseries when it came out. It was a few years after The Stand. But I never caught The Stand's miniseries when it heard of it, didn't really know what it was, and somehow missed it. So I never really got into that one as much as a lot of people did. I'm gonna reread the book before the new movie comes out and go into it with an open heart. And I think that The Stand probably deserves a remake, so I'm not super mad about them doing it. It's not one of those things where I'm like, oh, it's done, leave it alone. I think that it could tune up. So, hoping that that does well. Every Stephen King movie and TV series in development. Yeah. Speaking of Stephen King remakes, and since the words just sort of skimmed past my eyes, I do not enjoy of the Carrie remakes. And I mean, as you know, for some reason there was a trend of Carrie remakes. The original, even though it's very 70s, like, it's still the best one. You can watch John Travolta get blown up. It's great. Go watch it. Pick it. Even the Chloe Grace Moretz one, like, just enough with the Carrie remakes. Can we get a list? Doctor Sleep, The Outsider, which we've discussed already. Yeah, The Stand is out this year, so that's cool. It's becoming a 10 series on CBS All Access. Okay, so it's not going to be a movie, it's going to be a series for The Stand, which probably, honestly, to really do The Stand justice, it's a really long story. It's like one of Stephen King's longest books. Like, it and The Stand are probably the classic Stephen King. Like, you had to haul that book around if you were reading it. The Bone Church. I'm not. Apparently, it's adapted from a poem Stephen King wrote in the 60s. The Bone Church is a series in development. Have no idea what that'll be like. There's a Dark Tower TV series in development at Amazon. It will be a complete reboot set during Roland's early adventures as told in Wizard and Glass. See, okay. I don't know if you guys know anything about the Dark Tower. I'll get into it a little bit. So, The Dark Tower is like the hit or miss of the universe. It's a whole series of books that follows this whole alternate universe. And it starts with the guns, which honestly, like, it was a book that I had a hard time getting into. I probably started The Gunslinger 3 times and was like, ugh, and would stop. And finally, like, as it became this ongoing anthology, I was like, look, you just gotta push through The Gunslinger. Like, one way or another, I gotta do this. So I did. Like, about halfway through the book, it got a lot easier, honestly. And then I really got into the rest of the series. Like, honestly, loved it. But it's a love-hate kind of thing with the Dark Tower series. I love how a lot of the other Stephen King books will tie back to it. So, like, if you don't know the Dark Tower, you miss a little bit in the kind of, I don't know, it's just really sort of genius how it sort of all connects and everything like that. I endorse it, but they, that one Dark Tower movie with Idris Elba, that was terrible. I'm super sorry about it, but that was a travesty. If you knew, like, what a big deal the Dark Tower was among, like, Stephen King fans, like, you don't put out a half-ass movie like that. Like, you just can't. So yeah, I'm hoping that if Amazon is like, Amazon seems to do pretty well with sort of fantasy-ish kind of series. So I would like to think that this will go well. It's one that I'll be keeping an eye on, and one that you can bet that Stephen King fans are going to have in one way or the other. So they're either going to really like it, or you're going to hear a lot of complaining about that one. I thought that they were really doing a Dark Tower, but honestly, like, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens with the series and how they're going to do it. And they're starting with Wizard and Glass, which is a couple books into the series. I don't know if they'll at some point cover all of it. I'm saying people are going to have some feelings, though, I'm telling you right now. Let's see. Drunken Fireworks? Okay, so Drunken Fireworks was apparently a short story by Stephen King, which is being done. But that is going to star James Franco, apparently. So James Franco is another one who Cusack seems to have become a repeat player in Stephen King stuff. James Franco, who, like, much like I do, I'm sure, like, when you think it's hard to think of James Franco and not be like, oh, Pineapple Express, or like, you think of James Franco like, haha, this is the end, James Franco. But James Franco was in the Hulu series 11/22/63. I cannot recommend this enough. It was honestly, it might, I don't know if I want to say it was the first original series that Hulu, but it was one of the first, and definitely the first that I saw. It was excellently done. Now, first of all, 63 is a great book. If you're ever looking for something to read, grab 11/22/63. It's a story that sort of ties into the Kennedy assassination. So if there's any, like, JFK out there, You'll definitely want to read this one. You will find it super interesting. But the TV series was just excellently well done. So was so like James Franco 100% has my endorsement as a dramatic actor. After that movie, he did a great job, and I was like, I'll never be able to take James Franco seriously in this part, and I was 100% wrong. He was excellent. I really like. It was very well cast, really well done. 11/22/63. One of the best Stephen King series that I've seen. One of the books that I've read in a long time. So I fully endorse that. So if James Franco is attached to this new project, I haven't read the short story that it's adapted to. I mean, being adapted from. But I will be keeping an eye out. It doesn't date. It just says in development. So there's no kind of like info about when it'll be out. And it doesn't exactly where. So I don't. Blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to catch if it says like where it. I don't know. It might be a movie. It's possible. Eyes of the Dragon is in development. Eyes of the Dragon is another part of the Dark Tower series. So the one series that's the Dark Tower TV, they were starting around Wizard and Glass. Eyes of the Dragon is another book in the Dark Tower series that now Eyes of the Dragon apparently is going to be a series on Hulu. See, already I have Stephen King. What's up, dude? How are you putting one part, like, so you have the whole, like, Dark Tower series. So how are you going to have played by one person on Amazon and played by another person on Hulu? Like, that makes no sense. Like, you're giving your fans the, like, benefit of a concise story to follow. A little too all over the place with that one, I think. So now it'll kind of be just of which one does a better Dark Tower series, Hulu or Amazon. I don't know. That's going to be something interesting. Neither one of date as of yet for a release. It looks like the Amazon one is definitely coming out first. But, From a Buick 8 is in development. From a Buick 8 is another story or a collection of short stories. Doesn't really make sense. That I haven't read. Studio have blah, 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 blah. Looks like this might be a movie. Okay, so they are doing a new fire starter. I guess I'm sort of the original was done in the 80s with Drew Barrymore. I'm sure everybody kind of remembers or has seen at some point in history Firestarter. The Drew Barrymore version was good, but since it hasn't been done since the 80s, I guess I'm okay with the remake. It'll depend on how much they put into it and how well it's cast and how much they change the story. Like, I feel like they're going to try to do a modernized version, which is a trend I'm not really about. Like, the way that they took it and made it set in the 80s. Why? First, like, the original was set in the 50s. They decided the remake was going to be set in the 80s. Like, they've been doing that with some older Stephen King to do a remake, but we're just going to, like, fast forward the time. But the problem with that is a lot of things. Like there's just differences. Cell phones being a number one. So when you like have to write the existence of cell phones into a story, I think a lot of little details, things like that. So I'll be interested in how they do Firestarter as a remake. I don't think it's a story that necessarily begs to be remade, but I'm not irritated about it either. Be done it seemingly as a movie again, like a theatrical release. So that'll be interesting. Yes! Okay, I'm psyched about this one. One of my favorite Stephen King books that I've read. And it's a really short book, very quick read, and always like whenever somebody in like one of my horror groups is like, what would be a good first Stephen King book to get for like a kid, like a 12-year-old or something like that? Invariably, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon is a really, really good Stephen King book, but compared to a Stephen King book, like I as a Stephen King short story because it's so much, like it's very thin for a Stephen King book, very. So it's a quick read, really easy, really good story, and a really great story to get kind of younger readers into the world of Stephen King. Perfect. And it's good for girls, like that girls, boys would equally be interested in. And let's see what they're doing with this. I hope they're doing a movie. Doesn't seem like they have a lot of information, but it is in production. It looks like as a movie, although yeah, so there's like it's in I guess early production, but I am super psyched about that. I can't believe it's taken so long to get A Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Guys, look out for this one. It's going to be really good. I have a good feeling about that one, especially if they do it as a movie. For sure. I'm super psyched about that. And if you haven't, like, check out the story. It's a good, quick read, and I liked it. Apparently, they're doing Hearts in Atlantis, which was done already with Hannibal Lecter. Why am I blanking? Anthony Hopkins, I believe, did Hearts in Atlantis. I believe it was done as a TV movie or miniseries. This one is being done as doesn't say. Oh no, big screen. Okay, so it is being done as a theatrical. So Hearts in Atlantis is getting a retreatment. Should be interesting. That was a good story. I thought the Anthony Hopkins one was decent, but like I said, it was a kind of quick TV movie, so that'll be good. Something called The Institute, which hit shelves. Oh, apparently it's a book that just came out that they're. I think it's part of that Mr. Mercedes series. Kind of the last handful of Stephen King books that came out were part of, like from Mr. Mercedes, and a few books are all connected and part of this like Mr. Mercedes series, which I haven't gotten a chance to kind of get into them all together yet, but there's another part of that coming out. So, oh, it's from one of the short stories. Crew. Oh, Joyland is another. Joyland, I haven't. Lacey's story. I had a tough time getting into that story, but once I did, it was pretty decent. They're doing that as a movie. Wow. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Stephen King has so blown up. This list of Stephen King stuff that's in development, like, goes on and on. So, Lacey's story is a book that, like, honestly, there were two books that came out. One was Lacey's story and one was Do McKee. And I had a little bit of a hard time with Lacey's story. It was decent, but I hope that I'm going to hit that for Do McKee on this book at some point, because that was a really good story. Really creepy, like, kind of old school Stephen King. Like, liked that one a lot. So I would like to see that. The Long Walk is a book that Stephen King did, pseudonym Richard Bachman. So it's an older story. That one is being done, apparently. What's this? Mile 81. Mile 81 is another car story. Car stories every once in a while. They're usually not the ones that I'm really into. Like, I've never really done, like, Christine. What was the other movie they did with the truck? The evil truck. I can see the stupid truck, but yeah. So this one is Mile 81, which is another, like, Stephen King car story. So that one's being done. Something called My Pretty Pony. Oh, it's that creepy guy from Saw. Tobin Bell. Something called N. It's apparently a King novella. This one. Wait. Oh. Okay, it's in development, but it's 8 instead of N. That makes no sense to me. I haven't done the novellas, so I haven't read that story. Oh my god, it's still something called Rest Stop. Oh my god, there's just so much in development. Salem's Lot. Salem is a new movie. That was a good book, but the movie for it was not done well at all. Really, kind of in the 80s. Didn't like the Salem's Lot movie, but I love it. It was the first Stephen King book I ever read. It was great. So Salem's Lot is getting a retreatment. Apparently that not even started yet, so that's not going to be out for a while. Sleeping Beauties, the book that Stephen King and his son co-wrote together. I'm trying to, like, look for a date on this. It's going to be a series, which it probably should be for Sleeping Beauties, maybe. I don't know. That'll be interesting. Suffer the Little Children. Yeah, something called Suffer the Little Children is in development. The Tommyknockers is in development. The Tommyknockers is another one that had a TV miniseries in the 80s starring Jimmy Smits and Tracy Lords. It was pretty bad, though. I did not like the Tommyknockers. miniseries, but apparently it's getting done again. I'm guessing as a series, but Lord knows. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Every and finally, but it seems like everything in the Stephen King universe is getting made or remade. Very interesting. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff to look out for. A lot of cool stuff out there. I could honestly probably go on for a few hours just about Stephen King works and things like that. With my chisel. I guess that's probably good for our little. I mean, really, we just barely scratched the Stephen King universe, honestly, because it's just expensive. As you can see, like, there was literally a list of probably 25 Stephen are currently in development. That's crazy. Some of them I'm really excited about. Some just gonna like whoop what happens, but always good, always interesting. You know, we geeks love horror. It's our thing. Um, thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Really cool chilling with you and catching up on all the things. I learned a lot of new stuff tonight and a lot of cool stuff looking out for. I hope you learned some new stuff tonight. I hope you got lots out of it. Hope you got to little list of a few things that are out there if you haven't checked out yet, like 11/22/63 and some of the other Stephen King series that have gone on lately. Some of them, so always good if you're looking for something to watch. You can't ever go wrong with some King, for sure. All right, thanks so much, guys, and week with your entertainment news. Bye.